Good morning everyone, it's John Neal here. It's Monday the 9th of June 2025. Going on a bike ride, and slightly different one. I've not gone on this route that often before, but I think you'll enjoy it. And look, dogwood. It's a sign that everything's going to be fine. But first, I've got to make my way across the A5 onto the cycleway on the other side.
Each passing day goes by so easily. Don't barter in the garden of eternal delight. Each passing day goes by so easily. Rise up from thy prison and wing thy flight. In this mortal cage I live my little life. Time and space bar the way. Hidden in these words is such sacred advice. Cozy as we are, we want to stay.
So you're never quite sure what you're going to see. I've turned onto the A5, which is busy and noisy, but look, there's a bit of a delight. The bindweed has come out, which is a terrible weed to have in the garden, but it looks very pretty, look. You see, you're never quite sure what you're going to see. I've turned onto the A5, which is busy and noisy, but look, there's a bit of a delight. The bindweed has come out, which is a terrible weed to have in the garden, but it looks very pretty, look. And there's plenty of it too. Anyway, that aside, I'm setting off this way. I'm going to Witherley, and there's a lane going off to the north and slightly west towards I'm going to say Magna Carta. What am I on about? Cheapy Magna. That's it. I know it was something to do with Latin. And then across one of the other lanes to Sibson. I was there a couple of weeks ago because there's a field there which is full of poppies, but tell you a bit more about that later. Meanwhile, just going to make my way across here and then encounter the A5, the Watling Street proper. But I'll say something about that as well in a moment. I've changed to the 360 camera this time. I hope the traffic's not too noisy, but it's a really nice cycleway along here. I mean, it's got to be about 4 or 5 meters wide and hardly any traffic as normal. And it stretches from the Myra Technology Park there all the way to the Redgate pub. But after that, I have to go on the main road, and as you can see, it's quite busy. But I'm going to say something about that. The speed limit is only 50 miles an hour. It's reasonably wide, and you can see even here, which I know is a bit of a lay-by, but there is plenty of room for people to pass by bicycles. And Hang on a minute while I negotiate all this stuff. I'll do everything I can to make myself visible. I've got my high vis on, put my lights on. Right. And I've got a little flashing light under the seat, which is very good actually. I have to say the LED lights on this bike, and all bikes a bit like this, are extremely bright and very good. But the speed limit is supposedly 50 miles an hour. It is only single carriageway, not a dual carriageway like this bit. And it's very straight. I know, I've driven along it. The thing about when if I comment about cycling with regard to motorists, as many cyclists, we are motorists as well. And when I drive along this stretch of road, I can see a long way ahead. So if there is a bike ahead, I've got plenty of time to try and negotiate it. While the overgrowth is crazy. Look at this. I think this right hand side is Leicester County Council. They could come along and trim this back if they could. So I've got to get to Witherley on the A5, and it should be absolutely fine and reasonably safe. All right, it's not as safe as on a little, I don't know, country roads can be a bit dodgy too. So I'm not going to say we shall go. We're going to be fine, and I've just got to make my way across there as well yet. So here we are, the Redgate Junction. Well, bit of a hiccup. I felt the chain jumping a bit, and it's finally given up the ghost. Look, chain's come off. I think it's just broken, but I do have a connector to put it back together. But this is not the best place to do it. And there is just up here a parking spot, so I'm going to make my way there. Fortunately, no major injury. Got a bit of a mark on my leg though. Look at that. Oh well, pick up the chain, which is always dirty, and go and fix it up here at the parking place. Well, that was quite quick actually, because strangely enough, with no chain on and just turning the pedals, I got full power assist. So I was pushed along by the motor without putting pressure on the pedals and the back wheel at all. Right, let's just put the chain back on. I've got all the bits and pieces, fortunately, and an extra connecting link to put it together. So look at that. I'm just hoping that this isn't damaged in any way.
Well, the derailleur was not damaged at all, but in fact the cable was not fitted in place in the correct way from my previous bit of maintenance, so that gave me some trouble as well.
Fixed it through my own not misjudgment, I'd say, because the link, I've got just 2 spare links, which is good. And they're ones that look like this, look. And they just clip on really easily, and I've got the proper pair of chain pliers to pull them off, which is essential. Fortunately, I've got those with me, so they come off and go on quite easily. But I think the mistake I've made is that I did not replace these. I used the old ones when I took the chain off to clean it. And when you take them off, it recommends that you always put new ones on. And I didn't, and I think that's what's caused it to fail. Because it doesn't do them that much good when you take them on and off. Anyway, you learn something, don't you? Right, I won't throw them in the bin. I'll put it in there now and carry on my way. What have I learned? I think I should have somehow brought, I could have just put a pair of rubber gloves in, because my hands now are quite filthy, and I've no real easy way of wiping them down. Anyway, we'll press on. I'm going to change my route because I've just lost 15 minutes. So rather than the longer route round through Magna Bava, whatever it is, Sheepy Magna, I'm going to cut across back down to Atherton. That will be a bit easier and a bit quicker.
From this lay-by, I was able to cross the road and get on this small footpath, cycleway, on the other side of the road. Stupidly enough, look, I left the camera running, so you got one or two quite interesting shots, like a police car going by.
Ooh, it's not the end of it. Now the limiter's wrong, and the chain's come off the smallest cog on the cassette and jammed. So I'm going to have to unscrew this nut here, loosen it off, get it back on, and yeah, I should be able to put the limiter back where it should be. Oh dear! Woo! That's another 15 minutes gone. Not only did the chain break, which I fixed easily, but then the limiter, I had been messing about with these, I must admit, back home, but the limiter on the smallest cog on the back was wrongly set, and it turns out the chain ended up coming off the cassette altogether and jammed between a bolt with a nut on it which holds the rear mudguard, which that was difficult to get at. And I have to say, the nut holding the rear axle wasn't as tight as I'd liked it to have been. So I've got it all done, but I've lost half an hour now. In normal circumstances, so it wouldn't matter. But so I'm going to go a slightly shorter route, even than the ones I was going to take, to get back. Oh, I've got my drone and all sorts, so I won't have time to fly that. Right, let's see if we can get moving again. Right. That's all the mechanics fixed, but I am I'm going to make, I had sort of 3 routes I could have taken. This is the shortest of them all now, because yeah, everything seems to be working okay. Oh dear. But I've lost a good half an hour, and I'm not completely sure that everything's secure on the bike, so I shall make my way back on a wing and a prayer, as they say. But there's something to be said about this, actually, because sometimes things happen for the best, even though they don't seem to at the start. Because, and it was many years ago when I was a teenager, I read this, and it was a man cycling. Yeah, he was in the hills in Wales, and he had a break on this damage to his bike, and he had to, something went wrong, and he had to go down off the hills into the valley, down to one of the towns, which was not on his route, and he was a bit annoyed about it because it was a detour and a delay for him. But when he got down there was a festival on in the street, which he didn't know was going to happen, and he really enjoyed it. And then he thought afterwards, well, had I not had I not had the breakdown, I would have stayed up on the hills and missed this festival. So I thought, yeah, you could look at it that way. And, you know, who knows? The previous routes that I was hoping to take might have been, oh, I don't know, there could have been an accident on there or something, I don't know. It's a bit like the people who were late going to work, getting into the Twin Towers in New York. You know, they missed the train, they slept in or whatever, they didn't get in on time, and it in fact saved their lives even. So I suppose the lesson is sort of go with the flow. Whatever's going on, you know, do your best, do what you got to do. But if things go a particular way, just let it go. So now I'm going to take a shorter route home. I haven't thought of just abandoning in this video, but I think this is an interesting point to make. One is to make sure you've got your tools on board and you know how to use them. And there's always a lot to them. They're quite complicated down the back end of a bike there. The chain, the changer, the gear changer and all the rest of it. So got to be careful. On him. Oh God, with his walker and his dog and his hat on. So there's a seat back there. You know what? I'm going to just make use of it. If you make a mistake or things go wrong, it's an opportunity to learn, don't you know? Right, what have I learned? One, it was a good idea to put all my tools on the bike and know how to use them. Secondly, if you take the chain off to clean it, and those little, a very clever little link system works well actually. And I bought the little spanner for it, the pliers, which are excellent. But lesson learned, put a brand new link back in again. The connecting, I don't know what you call them really. So that's one thing. Secondly, and I bought, by the way, a maintenance stand. It was about 30 quid, but it's a good one. But I can lift the bike up and have a good look at the back end. And I think the more that you, I won't say play about with it, but if you do maintain it, at least you know when you're out and about and you're struggling up the roadside that you know what to do. And there's one or two things that I got wrong. The actual cable, the gear change cable, I don't know quite how it fits in the back there, but it wasn't tight enough, so that was loose for a start, which didn't help. And then also, I think the best thing to do is to put some gloves in. I've got loads of pairs of gloves, thin rubbery gloves, which would save me getting ended up in this sort of a state. And if anybody ever wonders why I wear woolly gloves in the summer, I find them most comfortable. They're easy to take on and off, and I bet you, now I've done this, that I've got black fingers and white hands. Here we go. Oh dear. But as I say, sometimes you've got to look on the unfortunate instances in life, and this is nothing desperate, you know, I've not hurt myself or had an accident or something, ended up in hospital, which, you know, isn't impossible. But sometimes if things go wrong, just roll with it. You never know where it's going to lead you. So see, it's led me to this nice bench here, and I'm going to just, as I say, limp on back home and get the bike on the stand and have a good look and sort it all out. so it wasn't as I planned, but there you go. You've got to make amends. So I think I'll sign off here. Thank you very much for watching so far. I'll do some nice country lane stuff for you as I make my way back. But yeah, you'll see me next time. Okay, bye-bye. Oh dear.